Most men never understand this why a woman may flirt with many, but she only sacrifices her comfort for the man she loves. That's the line. That's the difference. Because love for a woman isn't just words, it's a quiet transformation. It's how she moves differently around you, how she opens up in ways she swore she never would. You can't always see it, but if you pay attention, you'll feel it. In the tone of her late night texts, in the way she listens when the world forgets you. And here's the hard part, she'll never do these things for a man she doesn't truly care about. Never. So, if you've ever doubted whether a woman really loved you or just liked the convenience of having you around, this right here will clear the fog. Why does a woman sacrifice her comfort for only one man? If you truly want to understand that and become that man, then stay with me until the end. Because number 7 might completely shift your perspective about women and what love really means to them. If this video gives you something valuable, some clarity, some power, some peace, then hit like button. All right, let's begin. Let's go deeper. When a woman truly loves a man, something powerful happens in her psychology. Her instinct to nurture, something ancient hardwired, switches on. But it's not about being submissive or playing some outdated role. It's about safety, emotional safety. She will only lean into that softness when she feels stable in her connection with you. That's why you'll notice small changes. She stops testing you as much. She starts trusting your silence. She begins to mirror your rhythm. This isn't magic, it's psychology. See, a woman's body and brain interpret love differently. While men often look for respect first, women feel love through connection and presence. They crave emotional certainty, much like men crave loyalty. So when that certainty settles in, when she knows you're different, she'll start doing things that are subtle, yet unmistakable signs of deep affection. Think of it like this. When a woman feels loved, she invests time. When she's in love, she invests herself. And the fascinating part? Most of these changes don't look like grand romantic gestures. They're emotional recalibrations, micro behaviors shaped by trust, admiration, and the quiet desire to protect what she's building with you. When she loves you, she rewrites her internal script. She stops acting out of fear. She starts acting out of faith. But if you've ever wondered why it feels so confusing, why one woman can be warm and open, while another seems distant or guarded, the answer lies in how that safety switch gets triggered. Every woman has emotional armor. Some wear it because of past heartbreak. Some wear it because they don't believe a good man truly exists. And when you come along, when your presence starts melting that armor, she begins doing things she's never done for anyone before. That's not manipulation. That's emotional chemistry, a synchronization between her intuition and your consistency. You become, in her mind, the safe one. The one she can exhale around, the one she unconsciously builds around in everything she does. And that's when the 12 things we'll discuss start unfolding, slowly, naturally, sometimes almost invisibly. Now you'll see how these changes appear. The secret ways women express genuine love, not through words, but through devotion woven into the smallest moments. Because when she loves you, she won't always say it, but she'll show it in her tone, her time, her touch, and even in her silence. And if you've ever been on the receiving end of these gestures, you'll know exactly what I mean. And before we dive deeper, if you're serious about understanding how women really think, then make sure you subscribe right now. Because every single day, we drop new chapters that decode female psychology, how to build stronger relationships, detect red flags early, and understand what real loyalty looks like in today's world. If you find value in truth, growth, and emotional mastery, this channel is your edge. All right, now let's get into it. 7 things women do only for the man they truly love. Number 1, she softens her guard. Trust begins to override fear. At first, you'll notice it in her eyes, that subtle shift when she stops scanning for danger and starts seeing you. See, every strong woman has invisible walls. She built them from every heartbreak, every red flag, every moment of betrayal. But when she starts to love you, those walls don't just drop, they dissolve. Maybe she starts telling you things that actually matter, her family struggles, her insecurities, that one dream she's too scared to chase. You'll catch her mid-sentence, realizing she's never said this to anyone before, and she'll laugh it off, saying, "I don't even know why I'm telling you this." That's the moment her armor cracks. Not from weakness, but from trust. It's her soul whispering, "You're safe." Number 2, she becomes protective. The quiet, fierce loyalty. A woman who loves you doesn't just want you around, she wants you protected. She'll defend you when people misunderstand you. She'll notice things others ignore. You'll see it in how she watches your back at social gatherings, or how she stands up for you when you're not there. It's subtle, but real. Even the tone she uses when someone disrespects you changes. That's not obligation, that's instinct. Deep inside her, there's an emotional wiring that activates. If he's mine, he's under my care too. And it's not about control, it's devotion. The kind that says, "I've chosen my person, and I protect what's precious." Number 3, she starts mirroring your energy. Emotional synchronization. Ever notice how her communication patterns start reflecting yours? When you're calm, she's lighter. When you get overwhelmed, she slows her pace. That's emotional mirroring, and it's one of the clearest signs of psychological bonding. She starts merging rhythms, not because she's losing herself, but because she's intentionally syncing her emotional space with yours. A woman in love becomes attuned to your frequencies. She'll text when she somehow knows you've had a hard day. She'll respond differently, not reacting, but reading. You'll feel seen without having to explain every emotion. That's not telepathy, it's emotional empathy in practice. Number 4, she invests in your growth. The partner energy. When it's just attraction, she focuses on today. When it's love, she starts thinking in years. She'll encourage you to improve, not because she wants to change you, but because she believes in your potential. She might nudge you to go after a better job, to fix your posture, to face that project you've been procrastinating on. And yeah, sometimes it'll irritate you, like she's pushing too much. But look deeper. That's her way of saying, "I see greatness in you, even when you don't." A woman deeply in love doesn't compete with her man, she builds with him. Her care becomes strategy, her advice becomes vision. Number 5, she applies gentle pressure, the feminine checkmate. This one's tricky. When she loves you, she'll hold you accountable, lovingly but firmly. She'll call out the version of you that isn't living up to itself, not out of control, but conviction. Because her investment makes her brave enough to risk friction. Remember, indifference is silent. Love confronts. Compassion challenges. So when a woman who loves you gives you uncomfortable honesty, that's a gift. She's not tearing you down, she's inviting you up. Number 6, she starts including you in her future. Subtle commitment signs. Watch how her language changes. It shifts from I to we. She'll plan things months ahead and casually say, "When we go there," or "We should do that someday." She's not hinting. She's placing you in her vision, because love makes her start building in 2 dimensions, hers and yours. It's not about ownership, it's belonging. A merging of destinies she doesn't dare say out loud yet. Number 7, she prioritizes peace over drama. Love matures. Women can test men they barely trust. But once she truly loves you, she begins craving peace more than attention. She stops the endless arguments. She chooses silence over shouting, softness over games. Not because she's giving up, but because she's finally found someone she doesn't want to fight against, only for. That's real maturity. That's emotional depth disguised as calm. Now you understand the shifts, how her love reveals itself in trust, empathy, protection, vision, and peace. But what happens when you give that love your all and she still pulls away? That's where most men crumble. Now next, I'll dig into why that pain isn't weakness. It's proof of your capacity to love deeply, and how understanding that changes everything. The disorienting pain of loving deeply. There's a specific kind of silence that only men who've loved deeply understand. It's that moment when you've done everything right, been steady, patient, loyal, and somehow she still drifts away. You replay conversations in your head. You wonder if you said too much or too little. You question your own worth. But let me tell you something that no one says plainly enough. You are not crazy for caring that much. You're not weak for missing her voice, her laugh, or the way she made chaos feel like home. You're human. You felt something real. And when a man with a good heart loves honestly in a world built on detachment, the pain cuts deep. Because you gave authenticity in a culture hooked on temporary validation. That hurts because it means something. Why it hurts so much? The unseen psychological exchange. When you love a woman genuinely, you don't just give her attention, you give her psychic energy. You let her see the version of you that hides from everyone else. You open the vault. And inside that vault, your hopes, your fears, your boyhood dreams you buried under responsibility. That's why when she leaves, it doesn't feel like rejection. It feels like identity unraveling. But here's the psychological truth. Love changes brain chemistry. When you bond through trust, your mind releases oxytocin, dopamine, and serotonin. Those chemicals intertwine your emotional reality with her presence. So when she's gone, it's not just sadness, it's withdrawal. You're detoxing from an emotional connection your brain believed was safe. There's nothing weak about that. It's biology working exactly as it was designed to. Men are taught to suppress, not process. Society tells men to move on, to stay busy, to drown heartbreak in distractions. But real strength isn't suppression, it's understanding. You process pain not by numbness, but by awareness. By admitting, yes, that broke me, but I'm still here, and I'm learning the blueprint. Most men never get this far. They swing between bitterness and denial. But the few who face the pain head-on, they evolve. You start seeing patterns. You realize you've been building your value around external approval instead of internal peace. And that's the turning point. Because once you start grounding your worth in something no one can take away, you become unshakable. The lesson hidden in loss. When a woman truly loved you and pulled back, it wasn't a punishment. It was a mirror. She reflected something you needed to remember about yourself. Maybe she showed you your potential. Maybe she showed you your softness, the kind you'd hidden for too long. Or maybe she exposed the gap between who you were and who you're meant to be. Love, even when it ends badly, is a revelation. It shows you your capacity to give, to forgive, to rise. And here's the paradox. Sometimes heartbreak is the final lesson before rebirth. You learn that the real purpose of love isn't possession, it's growth. You weren't a fool, you were brave. Don't let cynicism replace compassion. The way you loved, fully, honestly, fiercely, is not a flaw. It's your distinguishing mark. Every man who dares to love without manipulation is rare. You're not naive for expecting loyalty or consistency. You were just operating at a level most people aren't ready for. And that's why you must not shrink because of one broken connection. Stand tall. Let the wound signify depth, not defeat. Because real masculinity isn't about never falling. It's about rising quietly, wiser, leveled up. Now you'll learn how silence, composure, and self-respect become your most devastating comeback. Because nothing shakes a woman's world more than realizing the man she took for granted has outgrown the version of himself that needed her approval. Here's the turning point, the part most men skip. You've felt the pain, you've questioned everything, but now the energy shifts. Because power doesn't return when she apologizes. It returns when you stop waiting for that apology. You begin to feel it the moment silence becomes your strategy, not your punishment. You stop explaining yourself. You stop negotiating your value. You stop chasing clarity from someone who was never confused. She just chose differently. And when you finally stop talking to prove your point, you start living as your point. That silence, that calm withdrawal, it's magnetic. It's unsettling. It's what makes her think about you in the quiet hours she never expected to miss. Why silence shakes her psychology. When a man withdraws quietly, not reactively but intentionally, he triggers a mental rewiring in the woman's perception. See, women are intuitive. They read energy more than words. When you begged, she felt certainty of control. When you detach with peace, she feels uncertainty of access. And uncertainty is the spark of attraction. She starts wondering if she misjudged your worth. She replays your last words, your tone, your calmness, and realizes something she didn't before. You never needed her validation. You chose to share your world with her. That awareness births regret. Not always immediate, not always confessed, but it grows quietly, like a seed planted in silence. She'll scroll back through your messages. She'll remember how solid you were. And she'll realize too late that silent confidence was the real value she mistook for granted stability. Men often confuse moving on with bitterness, but the true art of moving on is dignity. It's not an act of war, it's an act of peace. When you stop performing for affection and start honoring your energy, the game changes. You begin standing taller, not with arrogance, but with centeredness. You start saying no more often, not to punish, but to protect. And people notice. The world responds differently when you carry yourself as someone who knows he's enough. Here's the hidden power. Self-respect reprograms attraction. It realigns how others treat you. A woman who once dismissed you now double takes. Strangers sense your presence. Opportunities align more naturally. Why? Because confidence isn't loud, it's stable. It's the disciplined refusal to be rattled by inconsistency. Growth always reveals itself externally. You start hitting the gym differently, not chasing aesthetics, but accountability. You pursue your goals like your heartbeat depends on them. You travel, dress better, read more, speak slower. It's not revenge, it's a resurrection. And when she eventually sees it, maybe through mutual friends, maybe online, she feels that sting, that internal whisper of regret that says, "He became the man I always wanted, just not with me." That's the plot twist of masculine evolution. You don't win her back, you win yourself back. And that victory ripples through everything, your presence, your focus, your peace. Why regret is her real lesson. Women remember differently than men. They don't just recall events, they relive emotions. So when she sees your stillness where she expected reaction, she feels the loss. Not intellectually, but emotionally. Because deep down, women attach to emotional security. And nothing screams security louder than a man who's no longer trying to prove his worth. That's when her curiosity turns to reflection, and her reflection turns to regret. Not always a text, not always a confession, but a weight she carries quietly. Meanwhile, you've ascended. Her regret becomes background noise to your evolution. And ironically, that's exactly what renews attraction, not toward her, but toward your new life. Now next you'll learn how to channel that regained power into purpose, why focusing on growth, not chasing ghosts, is the defining move that cements you as an emotionally elite man. Because this story doesn't end with her missing you, it ends with you no longer needing to be missed. You've walked through the storm. You've felt everything, loss, anger, reflection, silence. Now comes the rebirth. No begging, no performing, no chasing validation. This is the stage few reach, the quiet clarity that settles once your heart catches up with your dignity. You no longer crave the old version of love because you've grown so much that it couldn't even recognize you now. That's power. Not the kind that yells, but the kind that doesn't need to prove itself anymore. You finally understand. Love doesn't complete you, it meets you. And if it doesn't meet you where you've grown, then it doesn't deserve to stand beside you. You could stay bitter. You could live replaying what went wrong, waiting for karma to show up. But that's not mastery, that's stagnation. True empowerment is when you shift your focus from what broke you to what built you. Every tear, every argument, every unanswered message, it all carved emotional muscle. It made you sharper, calmer, more perceptive. Before you reacted, now you observe. Before you chased closure, now you create your own. That's the graduation point most men miss. Closure isn't given, it's chosen. Forgive, not to excuse, but to free the emotional bandwidth you need to chase your mission. Because once purpose fuels you more than pain does, you become unstoppable. When you channel heartbreak into purpose, something alchemical happens. Every ounce of energy that once went into analysis and anxiety now powers ambition and presence. You start moving differently. You stop checking who's watching because you're too busy building. That's when life bends to your will. Opportunities appear. People respect you. The right women notice the composure, not the wounds. Masculine growth isn't toxic, it's divine. It's responsibility, focus, and self-mastery forged by fire. And the best part? You don't need revenge stories anymore. Your evolution is the story. As your confidence grows, temptations will too. Attention will come, new women, new chances, new distractions. And here's the test. Do you stay grounded? Do you remember what molded you? Because real kings don't build empires to impress, they build to serve purpose. They remain emotionally disciplined. They don't settle for fleeting validation that costs them peace. Peace is the new power. You don't need to prove you've moved on. Your serenity does that for you. You've evolved from chasing affection to attracting alignment. Now here's the full circle revelation. She was never the loss. You were the lesson she'll replay forever. But for you, she was the mirror. The storm that forced you into strength, the silence that built your voice. So don't resent her. Thank her. Spiritually, she pushed you toward your higher self, the version of you who now leads with calm confidence and unshakable direction. Because once a man steps into that alignment, the universe stops testing his worth and starts rewarding his faith. You are not broken. You are rebuilt. You are not too emotional. You are awake. You are not less because someone failed to see your value. You are more because you refuse to stop believing in love, even after pain. And from now on, that love starts within you first. Because a man who knows his worth attracts peace instead of problems, power instead of pity, and purpose instead of people who waste time. Own that energy, protect it, radiate it. Be the calm in chaos, the standard in a world of noise. Now pause. Take a deep breath. Ask yourself this. Did you love deeply? Or did you lose yourself trying to be loved? So those were the 7 things women do only for the man they truly love. Now tell me in the comments, which one are you actually getting from your woman? And if you're not seeing these signs in your relationship, then you need to watch our next video, 4 Lies Every Woman Tells Before She Cheats, What Most Men Miss. It's an eye-opening breakdown that every man should see before it's too late. Hit like, subscribe, and turn on notifications, because every day we uncover the truths that help you build strength, awareness, and loyalty in love. Stay sharp, stay grounded. I'll see you in the next chapter.